like, even without ratings, it's kind of ruining the sock.
No, see, this can't be real. Like, hey guys, I got a huge time saver here.
It's called a poop sock.
Which could be an Olympic sport, this new thing you've talked about. Okay.
All right, I'm going to cut you off there so we can start off the third podcast. My usual cohorts, Kyle and the bunch, I'll call them, are not available. So I've invited two of my very good friends, all the way from Calabasas. That's right outside of Malibu for people who aren't currently living in California.
That's Malibu, Africa.
Malibu, Africa?
Way down
Yeah.
there. It's summer here.
So I'll go ahead and introduce them. I'll start with you, Riley, because I know you best.
Hi, everybody.
Riley is actually the artist behind the mascot and logo for Robo Reviews. He's my best friend from high school. I met him through a mutual friend, and he's really the only person from high school I really hang out with outside of choir and all that. To get an idea of your...
I wasn't in choir.
Oh, yeah, you were...
Not that I have anything against that.
You just really wanted to make that known.
It's like...
To get an idea of your game preferences, just, you know, if same thing that we did with Sean and Ross, if you could just tell us the last 3 games you purchased.
Oh, Uncharted 3.
Nice.
Got that one. Loved Uncharted 3.
Mm-hmm.
Super worth it. I bought From Dust, which was not worth it.
Yeah, I played the demo. Not worth it.
From Dust was sweet for about 14 minutes. And then I was like, yep, I guess this has run its course. I moved dirt around and...
yeah, especially coming from, what was the game, Black and White?
Oh my god, Black and White,
Yeah.
dude. I played Black and White like crazy. I thought this was like that 10 years later, but with lava and stuff.
No,
No, it is really cool. No, that game's sweet. I like From Dust, and like, you know what it is? This happens to me with a lot of games. I got to like a fire level. It's like, hey, everything sucks here, and everything's made of fire, and all your people die, but it'll be worth it. And I'm just like, no, this is too hard. And I've like got 50 games I could be playing.
Did you get through the water temple? It's just fire element.
No, it's worse than that. It's every time you make a village, it burns down, and you're like, well, this is not what I bought.
Yeah, it sounds awful.
The last game I got is Skyrim.
Nice. I imagine we'll
Skyrim is dauntingly large. Man, when you're trying to juggle a bunch of games and like play everything and give everything its due, like don't start Skyrim. It's just it's so you'll never.
No, I certainly understand that.
It's literally infinite, isn't it?
Yeah, they have a random question generator.
Oh, yeah, that. I remember, we talked about that a little bit in one of the casts. Just, like, I can't imagine that. That just seems so cruel. You know, like, I spent almost 100 hours in Fallout New Vegas. Like, not even Fallout 3, but New Vegas. And I can't imagine, like, trying to get a lot of the quests done. And I didn't even get half of them done. I can't imagine if it was just, like, I kept going to the same person, like, hey, could you save my daughter? Her name is Eliza. She's in the Cave to the West. Like,
I'm glad the Denver Broncos are playing the Atlanta Falcons.
No, you know what's worse than that is there's some guy that like desperately like OCD has to beat every game 100%, and he just never read about this infinite quest system, and he's just gonna be there with like a long beard, and he's like really.
Well, then
skinny now, and still
congratulations,
playing
we've
Skyrim.
created the Matrix for this man.
all right, name 3 of your favorite games. Not necessarily your top 3, but just 3 of your favorite games.
Okay,
of all
so
time.
it doesn't have to be like 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, no, just 3 of your favorite games ever.
All right, always a tough question. Let's see. I got to put Super Mario RPG. Legend of the Seven
Nice.
Stars. That is like what broke me into RPGs. And I remember I used to go to Blockbuster and rent that game. And like your game is actually saved to that cartridge. So I actually like snuck the little case out and like drew a tiny, like unnoticeable red dot on that particular game. So every time I went back to Blockbuster, I could get my same game and continue where I left off.
Dude.
I don't know why my parents didn't just buy me the game. I think I rented it like 50 times. Okay, next I got to go with Advance Wars DS.
Nice.
So I bet you I put like 400 hours into that game. Dude, that is the best game on the DS, and like one of the best games on any system ever. That game is so good.
Well, dude, I remember for the Game Boy Advance, you put enough time into that, and then you were just so fucking stoked for the DS one, and then it turned out to be like one of the best games for the DS in its entire lifespan.
Dude, that game is so cool. It's got so many levels of strategy and like the different things you can do, and then whoever you choose to be like your commander affects how your units sort of interact. Like some commanders have like stronger infantry, some have stronger tanks, and there's like 35 different commanders, so it completely changes every single map and match based on which commander you have. So like you could replay that forever.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good. And then I'll cop out for my third one and say Portal.
Oh, no, you know, that's not a cop-out. That's a spectacular game.
I think Portal 1 might be the best game
Now
ever
wait
made.
till you hear my games. They're cop-outs, all of them.
Oh, cannons are actually all board games. names, which is strange. I don't know if that's going to fly for this podcast.
One of them is
he was a single child.
Is a political textbook.
There you go. Yeah.
Canon's about the war in Iran.
All right. Well, as you have already heard, we also have Canon here. I met Canon through Riley like 5 or 7 years ago or something. I'm Riley. How did you meet Canon? I imagine it was in some awesome Indiana Jones adventure or something like that.
We were basically fighting Nazis.
Yeah, at
was
Pepperdine.
Riley short round? He had the cap.
Oh, absolutely.
Dr. Hamlin.
Is that me? Am I that guy? Why am I always him in all these made-up stories?
No, we met at college. Freshman year, we both had interesting roommates, and then we decided we were having none of that, and we decided to be roommates from sophomore year until today, in fact, which sounds...
Going strong.
Going strong. 5 years? 6 years? Long time.
Man, too long. We're sick of you.
All right. Well, let's go on to your games. What are the last 3 games that you made purchase of?
Well, see, to be factual, it sounds like I'm copying him, but to be factual, it was Skyrim was the last purchase. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
It was a fine purchase.
Yeah, I didn't have the original, and so I looked up everything, and there's like, if you have the original, it's not quite worth getting it, but if you don't have the original, it's definitely worth picking it up.
Oh, absolutely.
And I just wanted to play as Phoenix Wright people.
I was
seriously?
bad at the original, and I'm bad at the new one, too.
Yeah, you're bad enough to beat me consistently, so...
Well, that's not saying much.
Well, I find that with every fighting game ever, like, I get really excited, and I love, like, the character selection and all this stuff, but then I get into playing it, and I'm like, oh, wait, I'm terrible at fighting games. What was I thinking?
Okay, so maybe you'll like it. Okay, so they have this new feature with this specific one. It is actually, they have 2 modes. You can choose, like, manual, which is the normal, like, the really intricate, high skill depth button combos, but they also have, like, an automatic mode where hitting the same button will sort of initiate your combo, and then you have other buttons to deploy your super.
Button masher mode? That's excellent.
So
Exactly.
I play on button masher mode, and I own. But
Yeah.
I imagine the
I feel
pros
so cheap
hate
because
that.
I know, like, the blood and sweat that goes into being good at one of these games.
Oh, yeah.
But it still lets you enjoy it and see the crazy combos and everything like that that we normally see.
We're all really there to just deploy the super, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
No, it's true.
They're all there to have like the super hyper mega combo that causes epilepsy.
You were there, Riley, at least 1 or 2 of the nights that I had my buddy Tim Walsh over, and we played like Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Oh, yeah.
And he had all the characters, so it would just be like make the silliest team and then deploy the super.
Dude,
like,
that's
I had,
what we were doing.
Yeah, like
Oh my God,
I had
yeah.
like Team Laser Blast with like Cyclops and Mega Man and like Cable or something like that would just shoot
dude.
a giant death beam.
You can totally do that with the new one. I think I had a team that was Hulk, She-Hulk, and Hagar.
They have Hagar?
They have Hagar, yeah.
Was it
No,
fun?
Yes.
Oh
I had
Oh my God.
I had a Justice team.
Mustached.
She-Hulk is a lawyer, and so is Phoenix Wright. And I just wish they had
awesome.
Daredevil to call in. It'd be like all lawyers all the time.
Yeah, we were doing theme teams for sure.
Oh, that's excellent. That makes me very happy.
And the third game I bought was the fabulous Batman Arkham City.
Oh,
so
nice.
good. If you like Batman and or fun, I think you'll like this game.
Yeah, no,
Nice.
it's got to be one of the best Batman games ever made.
Not a difficult claim because other than the other Arkham game, they've all been pretty hugely terrible.
You didn't like Batman Forever for the SNES?
Yes, no, just,
You
just-
ruined my point. Like, that sounded really cool and big for all the moms listening in on
You said
this,
it's very
right?
intelligent, and then all of a sudden
they
it's
thought
like,
there
wait,
were
look at
lots
the
of good
Batman
Batman
games.
games, and this is the ultimate one.
probably the best game outside of Superman 64 and E.T. for the Atari.
In this street carnival of a game franchise, this is the best.
All right, we'll move on to your top 3 games, sir.
Okay, so first is definitely Earthbound. It's a Super Nintendo RPG.
Oh, yes. The
now-
one that NES came from.
Exactly, it's where NES came from. I have the heartwarming story, like, my grandmother got this for me, and I was asking for something else, she got me this, and I was a little disappointed. When I played it, it's like my favorite RPG of all time. So great.
Nice.
Second, Chrono Trigger.
Oh, yeah, no. It's
Definitely
one of my favorites of all time.
I think I own Chrono Trigger on more things than I thought possible. I have it for iPhone, I have it for
you just got it
DS.
for the iPhone?
Yeah, I got it for the
Nice.
PlayStation 3. I have it for PlayStation 1, the little disc. If they release
Super
it,
Nintendo,
or it's
right?
just yeah, exactly, it's Super Nintendo. They can put it on the TV and I just watch it.
They could pretty much cook it into a cake and you'd buy it, right?
I'd absolutely buy a Chrono Trigger cake. I might have before, actually.
When's your birthday? All right.
Oh, well, actually, in that spirit, I will have to make you a Chrono Trigger cookie. There's
Buckle up, buddy.
Well, here we go.
Now.
Well, no, there was someone selling cookies for like a fundraiser for their school, and they had it's called like Fun Dough. It's basically sugar cookie dough in different colors, like 4 different colors, but you can mold it like Play-Doh. So I decided I'm going to combine the colors and such to make my own colors and put them in little tiny squares and make pixel art cookies.
Nice.
That's a lofty
Yes.
goal, man.
That's a
There's
lot
gonna
of
be
work.
a lot of work in it, but it's going to be totally awesome.
Third game's Deus Ex.
Deus Ex.
Sorry.
just shoehorn that in there before
Had
we
to
take
snipe that in there.
Deus Ex. Yeah, let's talk about
Did you see the extra credits about the new Deus Ex game?
I did not. I've seen one episode of Extra Credits. I really liked it.
If you just watch one more, just watch the one on, they go over Deus Ex Revolution, and they are all humongous fans of Deus Ex, the series,
Nice.
so they talk about it. It's almost like a mini retrospective on the whole series and what makes the new ones so great, and they go into, like, transhumanism, and they get really philosophical on, like, all of their videos. It's
Perfect.
It's the best video game-related web series, maybe even the best web series that I've seen on the internet.
Until now, you mean?
until us three talk about...
Poop socks.
Poop socks.
Yeah, poop socks.
Classy guys.
All right. Well, cool. Is there anything else either of you two wanted to mention about yourselves and your existing...
Okay, you know what? I kind of noticed this after I said Super Mario RPG and Cannon said Earthbound. Like, I think everyone who's a real RPG fan had one game when they were a child, one RPG that sort of broke them into the whole genre that you just sort of, like, fall in love with real young.
No, I get that.
That's why I wanted to ask Steve, do you have one? Like, Mario RPG is it for me. Like, it's the game I played through, like, 10 times. And, like, it may not be the best RPG ever, but it's, like, hands down my favorite.
Oh, it's so good. But yeah.
Well, I mentioned in the last podcast, and it's something that sort of is a continuing theme for me as I progressed through my gaming lifespan, is I got into a lot of games by watching other people play them. Usually my older brother, but sometimes, other people, like my older sister's ex. But yeah, like my older brother playing through Final Fantasy III American, but that was the one that really got me into RPGs. Like, just watching him play and when I tried to actually play through it on my own, I got stuck at one part, and then he traded it at EB Games or something like that for a Game Gear game.
For a Game Gear game?
That's the worst part.
Some really stupid fighting game like a Samurai Showdown or something.
It could be the best game on the Game Gear, but it doesn't matter.
Traded an original, like, brand new copy of Final Fantasy III for...
that's criminal. Dude, I remember...
That got me into it.
Steve, that reminds me, when we were in high school, our friend Eric, I remember one day, he told me he just got back from a GameStop, and he'd sold all his Sega games. And I was like, oh, okay. How much did you get for them? He said, they gave me 5 cents a piece. I was like, 5 cents a piece, man? You could have just, like, thrown them in a wall and had more fun with them.
Right? It's like, would you really need that pack of gum?
Like, oh my god, like, right? 5 cents. And he was like, yeah, man, I got like $5.50 for all those games. I was like, oh god.
Do you have 150 games?
You could have built yourself a suit of armor and sold it for more, man.
Those things. If someone said, I'll give you 5 cents for it, I'd just be like, no, I'll just destroy it.
Someone can give me 5 cents for free, and it may not be worth the effort.
I'm just gonna throw the nickel away anyway, so who cares?
Alrighty, so I suppose now is a decent enough time to move on to the news. One of the first ones I'll mention is there was kind of a scare, not sure exactly what the current status is, but Miyamoto, as people will remember as the creator of, Mario and Zelda, just was talking about retirement. It's been bouncing around the office that he would probably retire and stay behind in like a small capacity. Caused ripples. Did you guys hear anything about that when that
Yeah, it
happened?
caused the Nintendo stock price dropped 2% like the day after that.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't sound like a bunch, but considering it was just for some guy leaving, like it's a big issue.
Well, he's not just some guy, man.
No, for sure. But I mean, like, even it's just someone leaving the company. It's not like, oh, turns out all Mario games are actually infected with something. Like, it's not something detrimental to the company per se. It's just so many people had their only faith was in Miyamoto to continue to make these games.
Oh no, I totally get that.
Dude, I kind of see it from his point though. I mean, we're all kind of bottle fed on Miyamoto games for Nintendo. Like, I mean, he's got to leave at some point, right? So, I mean, I see his rationale for wanting
Oh, for sure.
to
No,
like, wean Nintendo off himself.
I don't begrudge him leaving at all. It's just hilarious that he basically said, yeah, I'm going to be looking at the options and retiring. The stock price dropped 2%. He's like, I'm not really retiring.
Yeah.
I'm actually just, moving other places to do things. Still on Nintendo. Still making Mario games.
He came back with sort of a follow-up.
I think it's called a tourniquet.
Sort of reclarified his position while stepping back a little bit. He kept trying to rephrase it, and like every time he was just like, "Oh, well, I don't want to say it like this because then the headline's going to be Miyamoto's thinking about retiring." Like, which
with
isn't
like
the
an
case.
ellipses in between. I'm not retiring, and it's I ellipses am retiring.
But yeah, that caused ripples, and like, yeah, when I first read that, I was like, almost like a little gasp in my heart because his games have had such a place for me. Ocarina of Time alone, that's a game widely considered to be the greatest game of all time. Like,
Sure, but I mean, like, you can't underestimate the amount of influence that Mario had. Like, I mean, like, outside of the gaming community, you could say the word Mario and people will instantly think of Mario. Like Zelda,
Also, you can say Mario in any language, and people will know what
That's
you're
true,
talking about.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty epic.
No,
and
he's
yeah,
super
the fact that it
important.
was partially responsible for getting games as popular as they were at that time.
Here's the thing I think we're seeing. I think we're sort of seeing the personification of these mega corporations and like sort of them becoming tied to their leader. We saw it a lot with Apple, with the late Steve Jobs, and he really became the face for that company. And so, I mean, multiple times, because of very legitimate reasons, Steve Jobs had to step down, and every time he did, like, the stocks would just plummet. Because everyone really tied the success and the product from that company with...
Similar stuff happened with Bill Gates. Is it just tech companies that does that? Like, because it's Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony.
It may be just tech companies. It may just be that, like, the biggest, most important companies in the last few decades have been tech companies.
That makes sense.
I mean, I'm sure if, like a Rockefeller said he was stepping down 100, or, however many years ago, that, that would have had a big impact then.
We've had lots of ether parties.
Opium dens.
Yeah. It seems to me that tech companies of all companies should be the least likely to be something like that, because the amount of people that have to come together to create something like Skyward Sword or like Mario Brothers or the iPod or anything like that, tying all of that to one person seems just obscene.
But, I mean, the problem is that's how today's consumers sort of take in their media. Like, it's all because of social media and everything. Like, these companies need to have a face with which they can interact with their consumers, right? And, like, they gotta have someone on the Twitter feed. And, like, the people want to feel like they can't really grasp, like, an entire company made up of hundreds and thousands of employees. But I can see Miyamoto made Mario, and I like that, right?
Yeah.
And like we can process that. So I think that's why we tie people to the company like that.
Well, yeah. For me, and for a lot of people, I imagine, it's the attachment to the term gamer. Like, we all associate with all things gamer because that's just kind of what we grew up as. It's our culture. And he was just kind of like a celebrity to all gaming.
Oh, big time.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it.
Deadmau5, it's like 99% certain that Deadmau5 got Shigeru Miyamoto's name or signature tattooed on his arm.
Oh, he has a really cool signature. I'm looking at it now on his Wikipedia page.
Deadmau5, for anybody who doesn't know, is like an up-and-coming, really popular techno artist who's really big into video gaming, and he sort of wears that on his sleeve, literally.
That's
tattoos and stuff.
There you go. Nice, clever pun there. Nice.
Mm-hmm. You like that?
I
like that. I like that. You're classing it up here.
I like Deadmau5 though, 90% because of his giant head mask thing.
Dude, have you seen the inside of it? It's like some of the highest grade technology in the world. Like, he has to have like fully functioning cameras that are so fast because like the fact that he's mixing beats like off a camera delay.
Oh, it's a camera? I thought maybe there was
Exactly.
like some sort
the
of
mask is completely solid,
two-way...
except it has cameras on the outside that feed into lenses on the inside that he looks at. So like those delays have to be so quick because if he's even like a few milliseconds off, like it can affect how he mixes the beat.
Holy shit!
Because he does it all in real time, so they have to be like crazy fast, and like he seeks out technology from everywhere. Like, his helmet is super advanced. It's cool. You should look up some pictures of like the inside of Deadmau5's helmet.
Craziness. Is that the same thing with, say, like Daft Punk as well? I would imagine.
I assume so. I mean, they were doing it. I'm sure when they first started, I don't think that kind of technology existed.
Now, okay, so for all up-and-coming DJs, just know, get an insane headgear, and you guys will just launch up. Just, I don't know.
Then you're going to go.
Put a big banana, like a foam banana over your head.
It sounds like a huge tangent, but it kind of ties into the point earlier. Where, like, if you're going to be any successful product today, whether you're Nintendo or you're Deadmau5, you have to be iconic, and you have to have like a brand wrapped around yourself. And Miyamoto is a lot of that brand for Nintendo, and Deadmau5, a lot of his brand is that big mouse helmet, right? Sure. Like, you have to have this memorable go-to thing. Like, we're so saturated with information and advertisements, like every single thing needs something like that.
But I mean, marketing can be taken too far. Like, I mean, if you watch the VGAs at all, the Spike VGAs, like, it was nothing but advertisements and marketing. Like, it was, well, I'll bring it up in the gripes or news part.
But that's the reason I'm saying, like it's so prolific now that like you have
for
to
sure.
like, Nintendo, you have to have a figurehead that people can sort of like remember and go to when they think about Nintendo, or you have to have Deadmau5's iconic helmet for people to remember you at all amongst the clutter.
So I suppose we will move on from this because we've been on it for a little while. But kudos to you, Riley, for taking the tangent back to the beginning, because we really don't do that here. We kind of just keep talking until
we just kind of spiral aimlessly.
Yeah, and then at some point
I can do that too.
And then at some point when there's just a moment of silence, I'm like, oh wait, we were doing a podcast.
We've ground to a halt.
Are we still talking about news?
Yes. The next one I'll mention is there's a new Tony Hawk game that was just announced. Tony Hawk HD, I believe.
I wasn't really into skating because I don't like getting hurt. So, but I played the original Tony, or not the original Tony Hawk, but whatever the one was on GameCube, I played a lot. And I really enjoyed the Tony Hawk games, so I can see a lot of people who you wouldn't normally think to be into a Tony Hawk game to be into this.
I wonder if I'm going to be able to skateboard in a warehouse in this game.
Do you think you'll be able to skate? Do you think
feel
you'll
like
be able
that's
to
what
buy
my
new
life is
outfits,
missing.
or also buy new skateboards?
Like, where are people storing their airplanes in the Tony Hawk land? Because all the warehouses have skate parks.
Just ramps.
Well,
and,
no one needs to fly if everyone can skateboard.
Skateboard over buildings and stuff, yeah.
It's the place where the people who designed all the half pipes, they actually went into architecture. There are railings around everything that ever existed, just in case people needed to not fall down while they were going down, I don't know, the gutter.
I hope they're just
gutterway.
standing at the windows as teenagers skate all over their building. Like, how did we not see this coming? We built a half pipe as the stairwell out there.
So, the good thing I like about the new Tony Hawk game is, well, I mean, it's something that we see a lot, which is, let's take something that worked in the past and just slap some HD on it. But people will buy it, myself included. They're apparently taking, like, just the first 3 levels of some of the older Tony Hawk games, and they're selling it for, like, under $20.
Oh, nice.
I get that, and I like that, but at the same time, like, doesn't it kind of depress you that, like, innovating is difficult, so we're just going to take something that was successful in the past and just HD it up and reship it to us?
It's true, but nostalgia is profitable. Like, I would pay and will pay.
You got Chrono Trigger on 5 systems.
I've got Chrono Trigger on 5 systems, right? Like, I'm the perfect market for them. Like, the Final Fantasy X remake that's coming out, the HD remake, and the Jak and Daxter remake that are coming out, I'm definitely going to buy those.
I guess I can't hate it, because, like, I'm definitely buying Final Fantasy X, but...
Absolutely, right? But
I guess we can all be happy that it's not Tony Hawk Ride.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
Right? Where you stand on an iPad.
In the peripheral era that was not successful, and they're like, yeah, people like to play guitar, why wouldn't people want to just, like, hop around on
I get where they come from. From a marketing
skateboard.
perspective, like, do you remember those games in the arcades where there was actually, like, a physical skateboard?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure, those are the
That
best.
game was sweet. Like, I don't know how that game was so cool, and Tony Hawk Ride sucks so much. But.
Because you would go to the mall with your friends, and then you could do it there, but when you're in your house and you're skating on a plastic skateboard, if you ever look at yourself while you're doing it, you are in a bad
That seems
situation.
like that should be easier. Like, you don't have to do it in front of all your friends. Because, like, I would miss that first jump 100% of the time at the mall. And, like, you just plummet, like, 800 feet, like, because you did not make the jump.
I think the problem with the ride is that it's not anchored to anything. Like, I never tried it out. It seems like it would be impossible to do anything. What I would probably try to do is just hold it in 2 hands and be like, look, I'm doing all kinds of tricks. Just
like a 540. Like, it's just enough.
spin it like a top.
Big screen TV is what it is, right?
But I forget who originally said this, and he was talking about the gun add-ons for the Wii boats, that when those were popular for a while. It's like, the reason you buy a Wii with the motion controls so you can imagine, like, this is a gun, or this is a lightsaber, or this is a sword. And there's no reason to buy a sword add-on for it, because it's all your imagination.
Maybe they're just trying to transition kids into, like, and then you'll go buy a wooden sword, and then you'll go outside and play with your friends like Grandpa wants you to. Right? Just slowly getting us back to where we
started. If Grandpa had Halo, he would not have gone outside.
You know what?
It's
One
true.
of my fondest memories as a child is playing that Yoshi's Safari, or Yoshi's whatever, the one where you had the bazooka. They made a bazooka, by the way. If no one played this for Super Nintendo.
Are you talking about Yoshi's cookie with a super scope?
I'm pretty sure it was called Yoshi's Bazooka. I'm almost positive. And I made my mom drive Yoshi, and I shot the gun. And it was like, I don't think we've ever been closer than that. I was like 8. It was phenomenal.
I remember there was a mech shooting game that came with the Super Scope. That was the hardest game in existence because
Wait,
it
there
would
were
never
multiple
count.
games with the Super Scope?
Of course, yeah.
Oh my
there was
God, I
like
thought that was just for
there's
that
a
Yoshi
tile
game,
breaking
man.
game, and there was this mech fighting game where you would shoot mechs, and the first 3 were really slow, and the 4th one like moved across the screen instantaneously and then killed you. And I never got past the 4th one.
It must be said that was not an accurate device, by the way.
No, it was
if you
not.
thought like the gun that came with the NES, dude. Yeah, apparently we've had guns forever. Now that I think about
Well,
it.
they're still not accurate is the problem. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, they try, but I mean, I've even played like with the super awesome accurate move. The shooting games are still off.
Well,
The
problem is I think you're always aiming at the middle of your big screen TV where there are no receptors, right?
Yeah.
So really it's trying to measure it from above and below and to the side. I don't know. I mean, I agree science should have figured this out by now, but I guess
they're
it's
too
not their
busy on
highest
other
priority.
stupid things like
curing diseases
fuel
and stuff
and
can
curing
wait.
diseases.
We
They
need-
can wait. We want
need
more accurate
gun shooting games.
fake guns.
All right. Well, I suppose I'll just mention one more news story then, just because one of the things I wanted to mention, BioWare announced their new game. New BioWare game. Always big news. I think it's like a step below like Blizzard announcing a game for me, or maybe a step below
They've
Valve.
kind of become like a huge company.
No, well, it's because they have 100% track record. They have yet to put out a game that isn't awesome. Like, not just, the game was good.
Second Dragon Age, was that BioWare or was that EA?
That was EA mostly. Like,
was it EA mostly, or was it like it was bad, so just say
think. I don't know, actually. We should look into that, because it was not that great. It wasn't terrible.
I'm really hoping that they jumped off of this, because BioWare is terrific at being like, hey, here's a great game, and when they're like, we want a sequel to that, they're like, cool, Obsidian, you make the sequel, and then it's bad. And they're like, thank goodness we jumped off of that burning train.
No, that's a bad way to do business, because we don't want that. We just want good games over and over.
I will say
because
that
because Obsidian keeps wanting to make games. It's like they made Neverwinter Nights, and then Obsidian was like, hey, we'll make Neverwinter Nights 2, and they're like, cool, and then it was bad. And then they were like, hey, we're gonna make Knights of the Old Republic, awesome. And then they're like, Obsidian's like, hey, can we make Knights of the Old Republic 2? They're like, go for it, and it was terrible.
So BioWare keeps making good games and then giving it to other worse developers to ruin their franchise.
And it's funny, it's usually Obsidian. Obsidian just keeps doing that. There was another part 2 that they did recently. I can't think of what it is. I'll mention it in a second, but Dragon Age 2 was indeed BioWare, alas. Okay, so that's their first one.
Well, here's the thing. If you don't like Knights of the Old Republic, then you won't like any BioWare game, because everyone has just basically copied that. Now, I love Knights of the Old Republic, and that's why it's just, Mass Effect is Knights of the Old Republic without lightsabers. Dragon Age is Knights of the Old Republic in the past. Oh, yeah. But that same basic thing,
like Jade Empire,
they're really good.
Jade Empire wasn't really like that.
Knights of the Old Republic in China.
Exactly.
Okay, but now here's the thing. The new game is Command & Conquer. That's an RTS. You can't
really
do
true.
that.
That's why I'm excited about
each
this. That's why I'm
are you going
excited
to have
about
to each individual unit be like, okay, stop time. All right, okay, I want you to shoot him with your machine gun. Okay, and then the rocketer.
The two armies show up, and right as they clash, like a dialogue screen opens up, and they just talk out their differences.
There's a moral option and a not moral option.
Each individual soldier's like,
this tank's going to be a paragon.
Kill the civilian, or do you save the civilian?
No, but I'm really excited to see BioWare go into the RTS circle, because like by no means am I going to be like, oh, is it going to be a StarCraft killer? Because I'm not retarded. But they're not going to put out just a really shitty product, especially when it's something like this. Like everyone as a child played like StarCraft, and that was their big thing. For me, I started off with Command & Conquer Red Alert. So them kind of progressing the series in a direction that's less completely silly, like they've been going the last like 10 years, makes me think that this is. I'm really excited for it.
You didn't like the time tanks?
Time tanks. That's a great name.
The tanks that would shift through time.
Like Red Alert had some silly stuff. The idea of like Tesla coils and the red curtain that can give stuff invulnerability for a short time. That was always like a neat little aspect to it. But at the same time, when they just went like, oh fuck it, we're gonna have like dolphins with bombs attached to them and fucking like enemies with like psionic attacks.
Like the best Command & Conquer games ever, because like bombs with dolphins sounds sweet. I'm really interested in time tanks now.
It fought the dolphin from Sequest, and
do you want to play Echo the Dolphin and Command & Conquer? Well, we have a game.
Well, here's good news.
But I kind of agree with Cannon in that like this is a big deal for BioWare, because I mean like they've got a good track record as you said, but they've really just been making the same game over and over in a different period. So like I'm interested to see how they handle a completely different genre and see if they can sort of take that team and do something new and still good with it. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. No, I definitely have faith in them. Like with the Old Republic, their MMO. Even though it looks a lot like very similar to all their other games, it's still a completely different genre of game entirely. You can't just say, oh, they're good at making that style of game and it looks very similar to it, so of course they're just going to do it well. No, an MMO is completely different terrain.
Did the Knights of the Old Republic MMO come out?
No, it comes out next week.
December 20th. December 20th.
I heard about that a lot for a while, and I feel like I haven't heard anything about that in a long time.
It's...
A lot of people were in the beta, and a lot of, our friend Melissa was in the beta. She really enjoyed it.
It was like one of the most played betas ever, and I've heard nothing but glamoring reviews.
Really?
Even though, like, most people are saying that it does feel a little, like, single-player-ish. Because what it is basically each class has their own individual full storyline. So everyone who's a bounty hunter, they all have the same story, but they all have, like, the potential to take different directions. And that does sound a little boxed in, I suppose.
Maybe they realize that interacting with other humans is the worst worst part of World of Warcraft.
Well, no,
everybody's an idiot
Absolutely.
except for me.
No, you still do that. You still interact with people and stuff like that. Like, there are quests that involve a lot of people. I'm not sure of the logistics because, like I said, I haven't played it. But everything that I've heard and seen.
Well, if you've leveled up in World of Warcraft, like since any of the new campaigns, you got to do 1 through 70 on your own. Like it kind of sucks.
I imagine.
Trying to trudge through all that.
It's
just
like
on
a ghost
quests.
town.
Like to have a more in-depth single player
Shatrath is just
opportunity
empty.
seems cool.
All right, I suppose that's enough on the BioWare thing.
Bye, BioWare.
So
Bye, BioWare.
so we can move on.
It was nice.
All right, so we'll go into gripes now. I'll go ahead and just start off with mine, and if you guys have anything you want to add. It's a minor gripe. Is World of Warcraft's advertising.
Oh my god, I'm so
sure
glad
that
you brought this up.
Yeah.
Every single time that I want to watch an episode of Modern Family. I want to catch up on Daily Show. Awesome. Chuck Norris World of Warcraft video. First of all, who the fuck thought it would be a good idea to just be like, hey, it's 10 years after the joke is dead and gone. Let's go ahead and bring Chuck Norris in.
Oh my god.
Dude,
I see this all the time. I don't know what it is. It's some art department. This isn't Blizzard making these commercials. They have an ad agency that they've hired, and the ad agency goes, trust us, this is hilarious. Right? And like, it is literally like a 5-year-old joke, like this Chuck Norris thing, and nobody cares about it anymore, and it has nothing to do with what's cool about World of Warcraft. Like, it doesn't make me want to play the game. I'm like so disappointed that such a cool game has such bad ads.
I think they got Mike Huckabee's old ad manager.
Seriously.
He was out of a job when Mike Huckabee wasn't running for president this year, and was like, I'm going to work for World of Warcraft.
But no, I mean, this isn't the first, like, celebrity video they did. I remember the first one they did.
Yeah,
Mr. T was actually okay. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't really very funny.
But see, Mr. T's now so dated, it's once again funny.
Yeah, no, exactly.
He's made the full circle.
He's made the full circle.
Chuck Norris is waning. We'll say
but then they did it with Ozzy Osbourne, and that was just really stupid. I was just like, why
the
would they,
whole thing's stupid, dude. You know what it is? Okay, so the advertiser coming in and be like, so you say our commercial sucks, World of Warcraft sold more the month after than it ever did, but it sells more every month, so it's like, it's not a good benchmark, right?
Seriously.
They keep going like, well, World of Warcraft is working, so our advertising campaign must be working, but it's just not true.
Yeah, like, you could get, get Tim and Eric to make a commercial, like...
How about you just take a Blizzard trailer, which they make for every big release, and just play it, because we love it.
They make it for every patch. Like, every patch is a fantastic one, and that's what got me back into it. Like, well, that and the annual year pass that got me Diablo 3.
No, I really, that's one of the things that I wish Magic the Gathering would do. If Magic the Gathering spent all of their advertising money to hire Blizzard's CGI team to make one video of two planeswalkers fighting each other, no one wouldn't be playing it. It would just, because in my head constantly...
Would be like, sweet, I want to do that, and hand them a pack of cards, and be like, this is gay.
Yeah, use your imagination.
Yeah. Did you like that video? Well, here's a book. Like no. Bad.
So if I can bring up a minor gripe, which is very, very specific, but I now have a soapbox to say it on.
Oh, go for it.
It's about the VGAs. So Tara Strong and Mark Hamill, they're both voice actors. Mark Hamill was also known for something else.
What was it? Some sort of Star Trek or something?
Star Trek or something like that, yeah. But Mark Hamill was the Joker, and Tara Strong was Harley Quinn in Arkham City. They were up for Best Male Voiceover and Best Female Voiceover at the Spike VGA Awards. They were invited. They even had like a little thing where the Joker came out and like did a little 30-second clip on there. They were put in like nosebleed seats. Like they weren't put on the stage. And then their award, the Best Voice Actor and Best Voice Actress, wasn't even shown on screen or on stage. So they didn't even know when they lost, which they did lose to the Portal 2, Stephen Merchant and Alan McCain. But they're like, yeah, I wouldn't even mind losing. I just like to know when it happens. It's just, it's a whole thing of how the VGAs were more about poorly run and more about advertising games than actually giving out awards.
No, exactly. No, that's sad. Especially those two. You know, they're seasoned.
Exactly, and I wouldn't call Mark Hamill like A-list star.
Yeah, but at the same
he's
time,
like
give the dude some
Skywalker. I'll call him an
respect.
A-list
You know
star.
what? Yeah, I'll call him an A-list star. Like
Yeah, you get a lifetime pass.
You get a lifetime part. Yeah, exactly. He should go up there. Then they had Charlie Sheen giving out awards rather than these people who have good nerd cred.
Seriously, Charlie Sheen. Yeah, because you're socially relevant and people who watch Spike think you're fucking hysterical because you think you've done the most coke on the planet.
When clearly that's Mark Hamill. So that was my gripe.
We'll go for next week's releases will be our next section.